Hey guys, Mars Saiyans here, bringing a Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to be checking out the AGL Trunks EZA in the AGL Broly Red Zone, the Pure Saiyans Red Zone Stage 6. Obviously this stage recently had a mission added for doing the stage with the Hybrid Saiyans team, and this stage can be pretty tough. This is kind of one of the things that, since we already had Trunks' EZA announced at the start of the celebration, but knowing that we had to wait a good week or two for it to actually drop, a lot of people were very much hoping that his EZA would then be something that could be very useful and make this Broly Red Zone stage that little bit easier. Then of course we saw his details, and a lot of people just straight away were like, okay, well, he's not going to be good against Broly. Because of course the big thing is he largely relies on dodge for his defensive capability, and Broly disables dodge in the final stage. So I wanted to jump in to the event with him on the team and just see how well we get on and see how well he can do. Obviously in the earlier stages leading up to the final phase, I feel like he should be fine because obviously dodge isn't disabled. Depending on how many attacks he gets off, he obviously can build up a reasonable dodge chance. Now, the thing is, of course, his stats are going to be a little bit lower than we would expect on like the showcase team that I used him on, because unfortunately his only 220% leader in the game is the Tech Vegito. So on this Int Gohan, Goten and Trunks team, he's only getting the 170 to attack and defense. But I mean, we did 5 attacks in this turn and 3 of them were super attacks, so he has a 90% chance to dodge now after all of those attacks have gone off. So he dodges both those attacks from Broly. I mean, this is kind of what I said when going over his EZA details, and we talked about it a little bit like during the showcase as well. It's like stages where dodge isn't disabled, they're on AoEs and things, and you can just put him in slot 2, let him do his thing. Like, you will have runs where he just dodges every single attack that comes his way, doesn't take damage, and then it's kind of hard to argue that he's bad in that event in that case. The issue is that he also doesn't really do like a crazy amount of damage, so it's also kind of hard to argue that he's actually good in those events either, right? Because just not being bad in an event doesn't mean that he's necessarily good, doesn't mean that there's not another unit you could put on the team in his place who would perform better. Because obviously the big thing with this in Gohan, Goten and Trunks team is that the Goten and Trunks part of the leader card is much better the more youth units you have on the team. And so to make this team build compared to the one that I actually did the mission with myself, I had to take off a youth unit, which I think was the physical Super Saiyan 2 Gohan from the anniversary, to put on the Trunks. So obviously that's one less youth character that in a way is basically weakening the team overall by not having another unit on the team that is buffing arguably the best unit on the team, right? Because once you actually exchange into Goten and Trunks, like, those guys go ham. They are very powerful, obviously very good with the as long as dodge isn't disabled, their first turn is very, very powerful, and they're obviously very, very effective on the team. So it's one of those things where you are actively making this Gohan, Goten and Trunks team weaker by running this Trunks who is not a youth unit. And of course, this is the big issue, like, that I wanted to talk about as well, is any events that have rotation locking are going to be super annoying for this guy. Now, in this instance, it's actually not so bad, because we did manage to do 5 attacks. Well, he can't get any rainbow orbs. I already thought that other one was going to drop down. He can't get any can't get a lot of attacks. We got 5 attacks on the first turn, so he does only need to attack 1 time in this turn in order to then have his transformation ready for the next turn. But that is a situation that you could get stuck in, which obviously would be super annoying, where he has to attack 6 times in order to transform. If you get locked in slot 3 on your next turn, on like your second turn, but the enemy was already at a point where they were quite severely weakened, then chances are the units in slot 1 or 2 are going to finish off the boss, finish off the phase, before Trunks gets to attack again, which then of course means he doesn't get that 6th attack, and then you're going to be waiting a whole extra turn for him to transform, which is already annoying because he's getting locked in slot 3, which then means of course he's getting floated off. It's going to take a lot longer for him to come back around again. So in this stage, especially with the final phase disabling dodge, that could be really awkward for us here, because we're not going to get Trunks back again for 3 turns now. And of course, because we didn't get a rainbow orb for Gohan, then we also died. Great. I mean, that's another reason why rotation locking is just a giant pain. So I guess we just go ahead and jump straight back in. Yeah, because I didn't want to have, I wanted AGL. Where's he? He's going to be in slot 7, isn't he? Okay, no, he's on the second turn. Yeah, I wanted the AGL Kid Gohan to take a hit, because he hadn't come in for the first time until turn 3. So I wanted him to get the hit to activate his passive. So I wanted him in slot 1. And of course, that put us in a situation where we couldn't get a rainbow orb for Int Gohan. And as you can see, after his first turn especially, where he's not getting that extra bonus damage reduction, Gohan really needs that rainbow orb in order to tank. But for this event, so like I say, I have done this mission already. For this event, I think it's much better to save the Gohan exchange into Goten and Trunks for the 3rd phase, where Broly's obviously able to do the AoE, can hit pretty hard, but you are still able to dodge. And so by using it in that phase, Goten and Trunks can get that big dodge bonus that they get on the first turn that you exchange into them. They can dodge all of the attacks and then ideally be in a good spot. But obviously that's another phase where it comes into play that Trunks' EZA might not be as optimally designed as we would like for this Hybrid Saiyans mission, because of course before he attacks he only has that base dodge chance, and so against an AoE you are relying on him just getting the 50% chance for him to dodge, which, I mean, it's a coin flip, like 50-50, but I think we did a test run of this stage on the stream on the day he came out, like yesterday. And if he doesn't dodge the AoE from the 3rd phase Broly, I think he took like 600k or something like that. And that was after already having transformed, so he had higher start of turn defense. It was like his 2nd turn as a Super Saiyan, so he had like 800k start of turn defense or something like that, which is not great. And this, of course, is another one of those examples. Him being on the 2nd turn and not the 1st turn is also a huge disadvantage, because how many attacks is he actually going to get to do? Because we need, honestly, like, in terms of not like nerfing the whole team, we need to put Gohan in slot 1, because he needs to get as many stacks as possible. Gohan might just kill Broly here, which means Trunks doesn't get to attack at all, or he just weakens him enough that Trunks only gets to do like 2 or 3 attacks. Now fortunately Trunks' transformation condition includes normal attacks as well, so this would be one of those turns where we would hope that he just gets a bunch of additional normals. But as you can see, it doesn't matter, and Gohan comes in and kills him. So now Trunks is going to appear for the 2nd time on turn, what are we on now? 3. So he's going to appear for the 2nd time on turn 4, and oh man, I think I'm just dead again. Like, I mean, I can hopefully rely on these guys to get the dodge in slot 1, which I have had clutch runs in events, like where I think it was one of the burst modes not long after they came out, where I had no choice but to use them in slot 1 for a significant portion of the event, and they dodged every single attack, which was obviously very helpful, which they have done here in slot 1. But just yet another reason why rotation locking is not great, especially for this team where a lot of the units are relying on dodge. And then you have a couple of units that will be able to tank in slot 1, and they end up being the ones that get locked in like slot 2 or 3. So all in all, I mean, that's the thing, the hybrids mission for this Broly stage is already kind of tough. Like, people I know have been having issues with it, and this is why we were kind of hoping that the Trunks EZA would just be really, really good for this and make it a little bit easier, a little bit less of a tough time for the people who are struggling with the stage. But Trunks just has so much RNG involved in his unit, like not just with the dodge chance, but even like we talked about it with other units in the past. It's like characters who need to attack a certain amount of times in order to build up their abilities and stuff. When you get into situations where they're then not able to attack like a single time because they get locked in the middle slot and the first unit kills them or something like that, then they just don't end up doing anything, and they never build up to what they're actually supposed to be doing. So we're in a kind of awkward situation where that has basically happened again here, where Broly's got way too much HP left. Gohan's locked in slot 1, which is kind of awkward. I mean, I'm gonna have to do this because we want to keep Trunks on the rotation to see if he's actually able to do anything. But floating off Gohan is not really what we want to do. But we kind of don't have a huge amount of option here. Gohan should be able to tank this time around because we at least got the Rainbow Orb this time. I mean, we still take 381k, which I wouldn't exactly call like good tanking or anything, but we are still alive, which is the important thing. But yes, Trunks is certainly not the, you know, like Broly mission killer, right, for hybrid. So if you were really struggling with this stage, okay, well now Trunks has got his EZA, now it's going to be significantly easier for you. Unfortunately, that does not appear to be the case. I don't think he is completely useless in the event, but obviously the main thing will be we have to see, of course, once we're at that point, whether he can even actually survive in the final phase, because he can get up to relatively decent post-attacking like defense, but the problem is always going to be he won't be able to take a super. But Broly does very regularly just super in slot 1, which is, I guess, fine for us here. Going to exchange into Goten and Trunks, grab these, get them their buff, grab those for you, and these drop down and we can get at least a somewhat decent amount of orbs for the tech Gohan at the end. But yeah, the turn that you exchange into Goten and Trunks, they have a very, very high chance to dodge. I think it is like 90%, so you can usually rely on them to dodge everything, at least on the turn that they transform. And it's worth saving it and using it during this phase, because obviously you can't dodge in the last phase anyway, so you might as well take advantage of it during this phase where you actually are able to dodge the enemy attacks. And that makes this third phase of the fight way, way easier. As you can see, these guys also do a lot of damage, but that's also arguably counterproductive to the way that Trunks wants to be used or wants to be doing things, because we're getting to a point now again where, damn, 90 million for AGL Goten and Trunks, let's go. We're getting to the point again where like Trunks is going to come onto rotation, and because he can't go in slot 1, like, is he going to have an opportunity to actually even do anything? Like, potentially not. But I guess we'll see. I mean, he might not even actually get to come onto the rotation at this rate. No, he's not going to, because Gohan's going to kill him at the end. So, like, so far, whilst Trunks hasn't, like, done anything particularly negative, like, done anything to get us killed in this run, he hasn't done anything. And so the problem is, now that we get to this final phase, this is where he's really going to come and show his like lack of value for this team setup, because now like he can't go in slot 1. How many times has he actually even gotten to attack? He's attacked twice. He's done a super and a normal in this entire run, so I need him to attack 4 times on this turn, otherwise like he can't do anything. So what we need to do is switch over to these guys, then use their active skill to give them as much of a buff as possible. But this is also the problem with trying to test out like him on this team, is realistically I can't put these guys in slot 1 and not use an item, which means we'll have an item in play when Trunks gets attacked, which then kind of doesn't really give us the full example of like how well Trunks would do in this phase without an item, because we have to use it, otherwise the other units on the rotation just get killed instead, which isn't really something you can massively hold against them. I mean, they may even actually, I don't know how much damage they will take from this. Broly's obviously not built up yet, so he doesn't start off doing the craziest damage with his super, although that's 665k. Like, bruh. And we have to use that Whis, otherwise we just die in slot 1, like, regardless. Nothing to do with Trunks. But as I already said, arguably, like, Goten and Trunks would be stronger on this rotation if we had another youth unit on the team instead of Trunks. So it's definitely a case of this guy's EZA. I feel like whilst he's not necessarily terrible for this fight, he's not really helping the team much. Like, he still took 55k post super as well. I mean, if Trunks actually takes damage after he attacks, then it's just a full-on rip, like GG. Because he needs to attack, what, 4 times in this turn in order to actually be able to transform next turn. But look how, like, little damage he's doing as well. 16.2 million. He's got a 50% chance to crit, which we haven't hit twice in a row. Then we get a normal. That will at least trigger that other part of his passive, which then we get another normal. Get the hidden potential. We don't get the hidden potential. Okay, so he does. I mean, we've got the Whis active, but yeah, he does at least tank for double digits still at this point. Because, I mean, if he really was absolutely terrible for this event, then even in this turn with the Whis active, he could potentially still take damage. Although, of course, you know, we've got like the Tech Gohan giving the support. Although, actually, by changing out the, I've just realised as well, by changing out the physical Super Saiyan 2 Gohan for Trunks, we don't have an Android / Cell Saga character on the team, so that Tech Gohan actually isn't even getting his passive. So actually we are in a pretty bad situation here. An active skill with this guy, get the heal, give him the big defensive bonus. Active skill with these guys again to give everyone else on the team the buff. That's the thing, like, the rest of the team can function relatively well, like, without Trunks' involvement, basically. So we go ahead and do this. I mean, we may still salvage the run, obviously not with no items, but I mean, I think this, for the current state of the Hybrid Saiyans team, beating this Broly event with no items is going to be incredibly difficult. Like, I haven't actually watched the videos, but I know because he will always try and no item everything. The last time I saw, Truth had already put up like 3 videos of attempting to do this Hybrid Saiyans mission, and obviously not succeeding. And as I said in my own like video when I did the run, like, events like this where they are super tough and they're giving you a restriction of like having to run a specific team and all that kind of thing, like, just use items. Like, unless the mission says you can't, like, just use items. Can always come back to it later once other stronger characters have released and the mission becomes easier. But yeah, this Trunks is not that unit that suddenly makes this like, oh my god, now the no items run for the Broly Hybrid Saiyans mission is so easy because Trunks' ECA is so good. Like, unfortunately that is not the case. And the thing is, with the amount that we are now hitting Broly and the fact that he is getting built up, Trunks is going to be able to transform on this next turn at least, but I don't know if that's going to be enough still for him to be able to tank Broly, like, even with a Whis active, which is the issue. Because realistically with this Hybrid Saiyans team, once you get to this point where it's like the 3rd turn of the last phase, where Broly's now had 2 full turns of getting hit repeatedly by the end. Damn, 130. AGL Goten and Trunks are so good on this team. Damn. In fact, yeah, they did an additional, I was going to say. Like, we don't even really have a good slot 1 unit for this next rotation either, so I'm not really sure how we even live in slot 1 on this next turn. Because these guys took 600k before the Broly had been built up a whole bunch. So the only thing I can really think to do is we can transform you, and that puts him at a 350k defense. The only thing we can really do is switch to Gohan, who obviously has some damage reduction after turn 1. Grab the orbs for him, and then grab this for you. Use, oh, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to use a Whis and I accidentally pressed auto battle, so now we're just gonna instantly die. Because yeah, I don't think Gohan without an item, I don't think Gohan tanks this on like Broly's 3rd turn. So yeah, this was a pretty bad example. Like, funnily enough, the practice run we did on the stream, I got all the way to this final phase with Trunks already transformed with like 800k start of turn defense. But this is the perfect example, and I'm not going to like recut and re-edit and all that kind of stuff. This is the perfect example of what we mean with like this guy just not being good for some of these tougher events. Rotation locking hurts him massively, not just because if he gets locked in slot 1, he only has a 50% chance to dodge, but like if he gets locked in slot 3 and doesn't get a chance to get attacks off, you get all the way through to like, what were we on there? Like turn 7 or 8, and he was only just able to transform on that turn. Yeah, just honestly not very good. Unfortunately, the whole point of me making this video, and it's probably going to be the title, is to answer the question, like, does the AGL Trunks EZA help with the Broly Red Zone Hybrid Saiyans mission? And I think we can very much definitively say that the answer to that question is no, he does not. So let me know your thoughts down below. Have you tried him out in this event? Like I say, there are situations if you get good RNG, like he's on turn 1, and then on turn 2 he doesn't get locked in slot 3, and then he's transformed by the time you get to the AoE phase. Like, you could get some okay stuff out of him, but just like I say, he doesn't really help the team. He doesn't help the mission. Like I say, I already accidentally made the team weaker I made the tech Gohan weaker by taking off the physical Gohan. I should have took off the tech Bojack movie Gohan instead. But as we already said, you're making the Goten and Trunks weaker by taking a youth unit off the team. So overall, no, he does not help with this mission. Definitely a fumbled EZA. As I said in my showcase, like I called the video, he's not terrible, but he's not good either. And that is just my overall opinion of his EZA. Just an absolute waste. Could have been so much better, but unfortunately it is what it is. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.